Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive curated just for you fans of Vintage Car Chronicles.
Available daily on Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, and YouTube.
Today, we're taking a closer look at a car that, you know, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, but it's a real legend, the Hudson Hornet.
And what makes the Hornet so fascinating is that it wasn't just a stylish car, it was a beast on the racetrack. And we'll uncover how its step-down design really helped it become a NASCAR champion.
Oh yeah, this story has it all. Underdog victories, larger-than-life characters like you mentioned, like Marshall Teague, and a legacy that stretches far beyond just, Hudson's own years.
Right, yeah.
So let's unpack it. All right, let's start at the beginning, the birth of this legend. Take us back. What was the scene like when the Hornet first appeared?
Okay, so imagine the early 1950s. America's in this post-war boom, and their love affair with cars is in full swing.
Yeah.
The big three, Ford, GM, Chrysler, are dominating the market.
Right, so Hudson's already facing some serious competition, but then in 1951, they roll out the Hornet, a full-size car, available in all the popular styles, coupes, sedans, convertibles. But it's what happens next that sets the Hornet apart.
It's the step-down design. Picture this. Instead of the floor sitting on top of the chassis rails, it's recessed between them. So passengers actually step down into the car, almost like sinking into a luxurious bathtub.
Yeah, almost like you get into the cars, you kind of climb up, but you're stepping down. So was it just a stylistic choice, or is there something more to that?
It was innovative, definitely. But the step-down design had serious performance implications.
Okay.
That setup, that unusual setup, gave the Hornet a remarkably low center of gravity, even compared to, Cadillacs that were known for their smooth ride.
So they're already thinking about handling before even hitting the racetrack.
Yeah, precisely, yeah. This lower center of gravity made the Hornet incredibly stable, particularly when going around corners. And this made it perfect for the stock car racing scene where maneuverability was key.
Okay, so it's low-slung, sleek-looking, and has this kind of secret weapon for handling.
Yeah.
Sounds like the perfect combination. Were there any downsides to this unconventional design?
Well, there was a trade-off.
Okay.
While innovative, the step-down design was, expensive to update. The big three, they could roll out new styles every year.
Right.
Hudson, though, was stuck with this unique but less flexible design, putting them at a bit of a disadvantage.
Okay.
Especially in that fast-paced market.
Okay, so that's the design story. But you mentioned this car taking on V8s. What was under the hood that allowed it to compete?
Here's where it gets really interesting. While everyone else was hopping on the V8 bandwagon, Hudson stuck with their inline-six engine.
Wait, a six-cylinder taking on those powerful V8s. That just seems like an uphill battle.
You would think so, yeah, but Hudson had a trick up their sleeve. Their inline-six wasn't just any six-cylinder. It was the largest mass-produced one at the time, a whopping 308 cubic inches.
Wow. They weren't messing around. But why stick with a six-cylinder when, like you said, V8s were all the rage?
Because they saw the advantages.
Okay.
One, the inline-six was significantly lighter than a V8, which again helped the Hornet's handling.
Right.
And then, plus its inherently balanced design meant smoother power delivery and less vibration. They weren't just being stubborn.
Sure.
There was real engineering logic behind it.
So they took this already robust engine and squeezed even more power out of it.
Absolutely, yeah. They introduced the Twin H power option. It featured dual carburetors.
Yeah.
This boosted the horsepower to an impressive 170. So you have this David versus Goliath scenario on the track, with the Hornet's nimble handling and surprisingly powerful six-cylinder taking on the raw muscle of the V8s.
It sounds like a recipe for racing success, was it?
Oh, it was. This is where the fabulous Hudson Hornet truly takes off. It wasn't just competitive, it was dominant.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell me about those victories.
The Hornet wins an astonishing number of races, including 3 consecutive NASCAR championships from 1951 to 1953.
Wow.
And remember, this was back when stock car racing really meant stock cars.
Yeah.
These were basically showroom floor cars tearing up the track.
So it must have been something to witness. But racing success takes more than just a good car, right?
Yeah.
Who are the people behind the Hornet's legendary status?
Well, it was a combination of innovative engineering and incredibly talented individual.
Okay.
First, you have Marshall Teague. He's the Maverick driver I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
He practically willed this car to greatness. He was a skilled mechanic, deeply understood the Hornet's potential.
Yeah.
And even convinced Hudson to enter NASCAR in the first place.
So he saw the racing potential in this unassuming family car. What was it about Teague that made him so successful with the Hornet?
He was brilliant at tuning the inline-six engine, getting the absolute most out of it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just Teague. Other legendary drivers, like Herb Thomas and Tim Flock, they also piloted the Hornet to numerous victories. They each had their own styles, yet they all found success in this incredible car.
So it sounds like a perfect storm of talent, innovation, and maybe a bit of that underdog magic.
You could say that, yeah. But sadly, the Hornet's success didn't last forever.
Oh no, what happened? Did the V8s finally catch up?
It was more complicated than that. Remember the step-down design?
Yeah, the one that gave the Hornet such great handling but was expensive to update?
Exactly. While the big three could refresh their styles easily, Hudson struggled to keep up, in that fast-paced design world. The very thing that gave the Hornet its edge on the track ultimately became a liability in the showroom.
So that's a shame. What else contributed to the Hornet's downfall?
Well, the merger with Mash Kelvinator to form American Motors Corporation, that was another blow. This led to the closure of Hudson's Detroit factory. The second-generation Hornets, they were built on Nash platforms, and they were a far cry from the originals.
So the Hornet that dominated the racetrack was truly a product of a specific time and company. But its legacy clearly lives on.
Absolutely, yeah. The Hudson Hornet proved that innovation and performance could come from outside the big three.
Yeah.
It showed that a well-engineered car with a unique design could take on the giants and win. And its impact on stock car racing is undeniable.
Right. And the name Hornet itself has seen a few revivals, showing its lasting impression on the automotive world. But let's dive a little deeper into that step-down design. It sounds like it was really revolutionary for its time. What made it so special, and how did it actually work?
To understand the step-down, we need to go back to car construction in the early 1950s. Most cars were built with what was called a body-on-frame design, meaning the body was a separate shell on top of a sturdy frame. Think of it like building a house.
Yeah.
You have the foundation and then the structure on top.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you said Hudson took a different approach.
They did. They wanted a car that was lower, sleeker, and handled exceptionally well. And that's where the step-down came in. Instead of the floor sitting on top of the frame rails, Hudson recessed the floor pan between them. This created a lower passenger compartment, hence the name step-down. So imagine, like, sinking into your car instead of climbing up into it.
That's a cool visual. I could see how that would create a lower profile for the car.
Yeah.
But wasn't it kind of awkward for passengers? Did people bump their heads getting in and out?
Well, it might seem strange now, but it was considered stylish and innovative at the time, and the benefits went far beyond just aesthetics.
So you mentioned handling before. How did the step-down design actually affect that?
It all comes back to that lower center of gravity. The Hornet sat lower than its competitors, making it incredibly stable, especially when cornering.
So they created a family sedan that handled like a sports car.
Yeah, it was a pretty clever design, for sure. And this benefited the Hornet, not just on the track, but also on regular roads. The car offered a smoother, more planted ride, even on bumpy surfaces.
It was like gliding along, almost like a luxurious boat on water.
Yeah, it really sounds like they were ahead of their time. Were there any drawbacks to this innovative design?
Well, as we touched on earlier, the step-down design was expensive to manufacture.
Yeah.
Those body-on-frame cars we talked about, they were much easier and cheaper to update, especially when it came to styling changes.
Right.
The manufacturers could simply, swap out the body for a newer design.
It's almost like changing the facade of a house without having to redo the entire structure.
Exactly, yeah. But with the step-down design, the body and frame were more integrated, making major style updates costly and time-consuming.
So the Hornet's innovative design was a bit of a double-edged sword. It gave the car an edge on the track and this unique look, but it also made it harder for Hudson to keep up with those, ever-changing trends in the auto industry.
But despite its limitations, the step-down design was a stroke of genius that contributed to the Hornet's iconic status. It's a testament to the ingenuity of Hudson's engineers.
Yeah, it really is.
It's amazing how one design decision can have such a profound impact on a car's, performance and legacy. Speaking of impact, we can't forget about the engine that powered this beast. We briefly mentioned the inline-six, but let's really dive into the heart of this powerful machine. What made the Hornet's engine so special?
As we said, most American car manufacturers were embracing the power of V8 engines in the early 1950s. V8s were becoming, the symbol of power and performance.
Right, but Hudson boldly stuck with their inline-six.
They did.
Yeah.
It was a bold move considering the Hornet's size and weight, but they had a trick up their sleeve. Instead of abandoning the inline-six, they supersized it.
Supersized. Just how big are we talking?
A whopping 308 cubic inches.
Whoa.
It was the largest mass-produced inline-six engine ever seen in a passenger car at that time. That's even bigger than some V8s.
Wow. So what were the advantages of going with such a large six-cylinder engine? It just seems counterintuitive in a world obsessed with V8s.
Well, there were several. One, as we've discussed, weight was a key factor in the Hornet's success. The inline-six was significantly lighter than a comparable V8, which, again, further benefited its handling. Another advantage is balance. Inline-six engines are inherently balanced, meaning smoother power delivery and fewer vibrations. They essentially achieved V8-like power without the added weight and roughness.
So it's fascinating how they took this seemingly outdated engine design and turned it into a winning formula.
Yeah.
Were they satisfied with the initial performance, or did they try to improve it further?
They were always looking for ways to innovate.
Okay.
They introduced the 20H power option, which featured dual carburetors, boosting the horsepower to a very respectable 170. They were constantly refining and improving their engine technology.
It's incredible to think that a six-cylinder engine could power a full-size car to victory in NASCAR. It speaks to the ingenuity and skill of Hudson's engineers.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the drivers, those who pushed the Hornet to its limits and etched its name in racing history. What can you tell us about these legendary figures?
Well, the drivers were just as crucial to the Hornet's success as the car itself. So let's delve into their stories and explore what made them so successful behind the wheel of this powerful machine. Get ready for stories of grit, determination, and a whole lot of speed. These pioneers of stock car racing helped make the fabulous Hudson Hornet a true icon.
All right.
Well, we have to start with Marshall Teague, a name practically synonymous with the Hornet's early success.
He was the one, like we said, that saw the racing potential in the Hornet, convinced Hudson to give it a shot on the NASCAR circuit. What was it about him that made him such a good fit for this car?
Teague was a true innovator. He wasn't just a skilled driver. He was a gifted mechanic who wasn't afraid to experiment, He was constantly tweaking and tuning the Hornet to find that extra edge. He understood the ins and outs of that inline-six engine like few others.
So he was kind of obsessed with perfecting the Hornet's performance.
Passionate, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He truly believed in the car's potential when many others dismissed it as an unlikely contender. Remember, the early days of NASCAR were dominated by V8s. So seeing a six-cylinder Hornet out in front, well, that was a real shock to everyone.
And Teague didn't just win once. He racked up victory after victory in that Hornet.
Yeah, his victories were a testament to his skill and deep understanding of the car. He knew how to handle the Hornet, how to push it to its limits, and how to outmaneuver the competition, especially on those dirt tracks where his aggressive driving style really shone.
Yeah, that's been quite a sight. The sleek Hornet, piloted by Teague, weaving its way through a pack of roaring V8s. What was his driving style like?
Bold, much like the car itself. He was a master of dirt track racing, known for his daring maneuvers and fearless attitude. He wasn't afraid to take risks, and that paid off time and time again.
So Teague definitely put the Hornet on the map, but we mentioned other drivers who found success with this car as well. Tell us about Herb Thomas.
Herb Thomas, yeah, he was another key figure in the Hornet's NASCAR legacy. He was a different kind of driver, meticulous, known for his consistency and precision.
So a more strategic approach compared to Teague's all-out aggression.
Exactly. Where Teague relied on, raw talent and instinct, Thomas was a master planner. He studied the tracks, analyzed his opponents, and planned his moves with careful precision. He was like a chess player, always thinking several steps ahead.
And that calculated approach clearly paid off.
It did. Thomas won numerous races in the Hornet and secured 2 NASCAR championships, one in 1951 and another in 1953. Proving that the Hornet's success wasn't just a fluke, It was a consistently competitive car capable of winning in the hands of different drivers with different styles.
Yeah, it's fascinating how two such different drivers could both find such success in the same car.
It speaks to the Hornet's versatility. It was a machine capable of adapting to different driving styles and racing conditions.
So it wasn't just about the car itself. It was about the drivers who understood its strengths and how to maximize its potential. We talked about Teague's aggressive style and Thomas's strategic approach. What about Tim Flock? He won the championship in '52, the year between Thomas's two titles. What was his driving style like?
To Flock, yeah, he brought his own unique approach to the Hornet. He was known for his smooth, fluid driving. He had this effortless grace behind the wheel and could make the Hornet dance around the track with incredible precision.
Almost like a ballet dancer than a race car driver.
That's a great way to put it. Flock was all about finesse and control. He could squeeze every ounce of performance out of the Hornet without, appearing to break a sweat. It was like he was in perfect harmony with the car.
And that harmony led him to a NASCAR championship in 1952.
That's right. Flock's championship solidified the Hornets' dominance in NASCAR. It wasn't a one-hit wonder, it was a force to be reckoned with.
So we have Teague the innovator, Thomas the strategist, and Flock the smooth operator, all finding incredible success in the same car. It's amazing how these three drivers, each with their own distinct style, contributed to the legend of the fabulous Hudson Hornet.
Yeah, they weren't just driving the car, they were shaping its story, proving that racing is about more than just horsepower and engineering. It's about the passion, the determination, the unwavering spirit of the people behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that a car can be more than just a machine. It can become a symbol of an era, a testament to human ingenuity, and a source of endless fascination for generations to come.
Exactly. And the Hornet story is one that deserves to be told and retold.
It's a story that captures the imagination and reminds us of a time when innovation and daring were driving forces in the automotive world. But even though Hudson is gone, their spirit of innovation and dedication to performance still resonates today, don't they?
Absolutely. And in a way, the Hornet never really went away. Its name has been revived a few times, and it continues to inspire car enthusiasts and designers.
Speaking of inspiration, I have to ask about the Doc Hudson character in Pixar's Cars movies. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a brilliant tribute to the legacy of the Hudson Hornet. They captured the car's spirit perfectly, the wisdom, the grit, the underlying power. It's a character that resonates with audiences of all ages and introduces a whole new generation to the magic of the Hudson Hornet.
Yeah, I agree. It's a testament to the enduring power of great design and storytelling. Even decades after its production ended, the Hudson Hornet continues to capture the hearts and minds of car enthusiasts around the world.
It truly is a testament to the car's lasting impact. Some legends never truly fade away, and while the Hornet story might seem like something from a bygone era, its lessons about innovation, performance, and the human spirit are as relevant as ever.
It's a story that reminds us to never underestimate the underdog, to always push the boundaries of what's possible, and to never lose sight of the passion that drives us forward. But before we get too philosophical, let's bring it back to the Hornet itself. We've talked about the innovative step-down design and the powerful inline-six engine, but let's not forget that the Hudson Motor Car Company, the company that created this icon, eventually met its demise. What led to the fall of Hudson? Was it simply the changing market, or were there other factors at play?
The fall of Hudson, well, it's a complex story, a mix of internal challenges and external pressures. While the step-down design was brilliant, those high manufacturing costs made it tough for Hudson to really compete.
Yeah.
With the big three who could just churn out new models and styles much more efficiently.
Right, so they were caught in this bind. Their innovative design, it's both a blessing and a curse. What other factors contributed to their struggles?
Well, the post-war economic boom, which initially benefited Hudson, it eventually led to a shift in consumer preferences. People were looking for more affordable cars, and the compact car segment really started to gain traction. Hudson was known for its full-size cars, and they were slow to adapt.
Yeah, so they're missing out on a growing market segment. Did they ever try to enter that compact car market?
They did make attempts to, diversify their offerings, but they were often too late or just not as successful as their competitors. They introduced models like the Jet and the Wasp, but these cars just failed to capture that same level of attention and sales as the Hornet.
So it sounds like they were struggling to keep up with the rapid changes in the industry.
Exactly, yeah. And their financial situation, well, it became increasingly precarious. They needed a solution, and they saw it in a merger.
Okay.
In 1954, Hudson merged with Nash Kelvinator to form American Motors Corporation, or AMC.
So the merger was seen as a way to, survive.
It was a strategic move, yeah, aimed at pooling resources and expertise. But it came at a cost. Hudson's Detroit factory was closed, and the production of those second-generation Hornets, it shifted to Nash platforms.
So the Hornet we've been talking about, the one that dominated NASCAR, was truly the last of a breed.
In a way, yes. Those second-generation Hornets, while bearing the same name, were fundamentally different cars. They lacked the unique design elements and that performance pedigree of the originals.
Right.
They were solid cars, known for their fuel efficiency and affordability, but they couldn't recapture the magic of those first-generation Hornets.
Yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet ending to a remarkable story. What happened to the Hudson name after the merger? Did it disappear completely?
The Hudson name did disappear from new car production after the merger, but it lived on in the hearts and minds of car enthusiasts. And as we mentioned earlier, the Hornet name was revived a few times over the years, a testament to its lasting impact.
Yeah, it is fascinating how a car that was last produced in the 1950s could still have such resonance in the automotive world.
Yeah, the Hudson Hornets, it's more than just a car, It's a symbol of innovation, performance, and the spirit of a bygone era. It's a reminder that even in the face of fierce competition, a company with a vision and a commitment to excellence can make its mark on the world.
And that mark can last for generations, inspiring not just car enthusiasts, but also artists, storytellers, and even toy makers.
Exactly. Think about it. A car that was last produced almost 70 years ago still has its own character in a popular animated film series. That's a pretty incredible legacy.
It really speaks to the enduring power of great design and a compelling story. The Hudson Hornet's tale is one of triumph and tragedy, of innovation and adaptation, and ultimately of the human spirit's drive to create something truly special.
Well said, yeah. And it's a story that deserves to be remembered and celebrated. We're glad we could share it with you today.
Well, thanks to all of you Vintage Car Chronicles listeners for joining us on this deep dive into the fabulous Hudson Hornet. We hope you enjoyed this journey through automotive history.
And don't forget, Vintage Car Chronicles releases a new episode every day, so be sure to check back for more fascinating stories from the world of classic cars.
Until then, keep those engines revving.